Welcome back to the Halo Infinite Grifball podcast. This is episode number 15, and it's the Summer League 25 postseason edition with both leagues. And I'm joined by my co-host Mav, the stats god.
Hello, how are you?
Good, good. And our special guest today is someone I've played with for a very long time. We're on a GGL team together. We were on an AGLA Pro team together. He has many names. I'm always going to call him fucking Gambit, but right now he's iRain7. How you doing, brother?
Doing well. Thanks for introducing me. My name's Irene, aka Gambit, aka that wimpy deer, aka Bambi with no legs and no kills. So glad to be here. Thank you for bringing me onto this one.
Don't forget KSI Tension 7.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
forget that one.
we forget all of those tags. We don't need to bring those ones up.
Jesus, man, how many gamer tags do you have?
Too many.
I think I've maybe had 2 the entire time I've played in this community. I don't think I could change it ever again either. Just Jesus Christ.
I got to keep it fresh just because you can only be on the bottom of the leaderboard in AMI for so long. So if you at least switch your tags, then people think it's a new kid. So you get a little bit of leeway on it.
That's actually a strat I should come up with. Change my name every time on the bottom of the pro leaderboards.
Oh yeah.
There you go. All right, so the first thing I have here is our special guest. Really, this is kind of your segment, and you can really talk about what you want. But the title of it's Wimpy Deer and the Spawn Closet, bringing back the Summer League 14 whenever we were teammates. Me, Rain, Tonga, and Infection. And that was your first season in the Pro League, wasn't it?
Yep. So that was fresh off. I'll give a quick shout out to the boys in cyan and pink. So that was fresh off of our amateur win with the Paradox Warriors. And that was my first season in pro actually. And there's nothing like a boost to your confidence for your first season in pro than when your captain messages you and tells you, "Hey, I picked you up because you're the Kmart version of Rick James, and we need you to swing a hammer." So it was a great start to the season.
Yeah, that was a crazy time. That was such a good season. Too bad we didn't make the cut because we just got fucked by our divisions, you know. But I believe we were 14-10 that season and missed out on playoffs just because of our division.
Yeah,
It was unfortunate.
Yeah, it was definitely tough. But that was back when there was a lot of heavy hitter names. You got like the Nets Pride Collective. You got a whole bunch of different names that fortunately we still see today. But a lot of the ones that have kind of faded to the back of the pack. But yeah, it was a great season. It was still competitive. It was fun. It was definitely one that I'll remember even out of the 10, 15 years we've been doing this. That was when I was a wee buck at like 15, 16. So.
Yeah. Tell Mav about the spawn closet, infection spawn closet.
I was about to
Oh
ask,
yeah,
what the fuck does that even mean?
yeah. So it's a great time. There's nothing, and I do this with my team currently. There's nothing to get you prepped more for a game, than when the three best players on your team literally put you in a spawn box. That's about, I don't know. You spawn and you can maybe take 2 steps forward or 2 steps to the left, and they just spawn kill you, and you have to fight your way out. And guess what? You're not getting out. If Noplex, the dirty stat pattern, and Infection have you locked in a corner, you're not getting out. But we got that was our pregame ritual. That's how they felt good going into the season, was just racking up 80, 60 kills on me. And then we'd go in and hopefully not lose. And Tonga would just say, "Don't touch the ball," and then there you had it. So I highly recommend it. I know Cosmos runs the free 1v1 special where he'll make you go negative 70 before games to get you really juiced up. So if anybody's interested, Cosmos is open.
Who was the captain for that team? Was it Infection?
Now it's Tonga.
Really? I kind of assumed it would be like Infection because I feel like he's more the person to captain than Tonga.
Yeah, the team name was Impulse, and that was back when Bid League all had the static team names. I mean, there was a pool you could select from, but Impulse was the name that he ended up with. Tonga, that is, and he had that for a few seasons. That was pretty cool how the names were concurrent, and some of the captains too. But you know how it is, man. If you lost with a team, or did bad with them, you're not trying to bring that fucking team name back.
Honestly, it was pretty cool though because it gave kind of a lot of fluency to the league, and that was also when we had the crazy idea that contracting players for their last season prior bid count was a thing. So I remember Tonga had infection for I think like 150 credits, which was basically free at that point. So there was a lot of cheeky stuff going on. But I remember, being in the AMI leagues and looking up to the pro leagues and thinking, man, I want to play for Impulse or I want to play for the Blacklist or whatever it was. So you definitely got sort of that like team culture that started to develop in the league, and I think that was part of the brighter side of keeping those consistent team names.
Yeah, the Boss Tycoon team in Pro was Uplifted. I don't think Blacklist was one of
Oh,
those
was
names,
it?
but yeah. Yeah, Uplifted was Boss. Notorious was Silva. I still remember all this shit. I don't know why. Wish I could forget it. All right. Anyways, so all right. The next topic that we have is the Pro League standings and analysis, and that will kind of tie right into the one after it, which is Pro Playoff predictions. And let's go check it out here. All right.
Actually, I think I have a list of the old legacy team names, or I have a Google sheet from like 2012 with a bunch of old team names. I'm not sure if
Oh,
that's the list.
oh, send me that. I want to have that in my history because I know we had a sheet with all of the names and name ideas, and there's some winners in there. But obviously, whenever you have people submitting names and stuff like that, you're gonna have some not so good ones. But there was quite a bit of names in there. I believe like 40 or 50 of
Uh,
of some potentials and ones that were used already.
I think I had talked to Seb about this. I'd have to like look through my Google Sheets, but I know for a fact I have a list that just has like 50 something names on it, and it talks about the history of the names.
Oh, cool. I remember most of the ones that got used, and well, I mean, you can just see that by going and looking at the AJ tomes, all the seasons, all the names that were used. But um, we had to come up with some new ones a couple of times because there was, I know in Summer League 14 there was an expansion and the AMI League, so instead of 12 teams, there was enough captains to have 16 teams. So then we had to come up with some new team names. That's how Eclipse, that's how that became a team name, and that was a good AMI team name, I thought.
I just posted it in the chat.
Oh, nice,
I
nice.
don't.
Oh yeah, the EUGBL, they had their own set of team names. I think it was a little bit different from the AGLA team names, but they're not a ton different because I remember the EU League would do the bid leagues in the off season. So like in between seasons, they would do like a mini bid league. Shit, that's what we should do for AGLA seasons. They were way shorter. Yeah, that's something we should probably look into, Mav. Honestly. Uh,
Super fan of
they,
that
they,
idea.
they, they would whip up. You might remember those, Gambit. They would have those mini bid leagues in between seasons, and they would wrap those shits up in 2 or 3 weeks. No
It would be,
problem.
it was so fun though, and it was all of the grinders too. So like everybody who wanted to play constantly would have games every night, and there were no problems whatsoever. It's just something fun to do, and it switches up the teams, get you introduced, especially if like you're newer to the scene or still trying to practice, but get like actual real competition in. So I think that's a phenomenal idea. I would love to see that come back.
Damn, Mav, nice detour, man. We might have just saved the AGLA. But
What can I say? Come with all sorts of great ideas.
true, true. Yeah, I wonder. I feel like Rage would have that shit, that the AGLA one. Maybe, maybe not. But Crusader had a lot of that stuff as well. And I know True Flying Cow is quite a resource too. He banked a lot of that older stuff, especially on info, and some other stuff too. But yeah, we should probably talk to Sev and maybe Aware. I know for sure that they remember how those went. Probably Sev. He's got a lot of those sheets too. So um, yeah, that's definitely a good idea. But yeah, all in all, I do like the static team names, but I get where A Spence is coming from. Where here's a list of names. Fuck you. You can't have any creativity at all. Pick from this list. I kind of like it how we have it now. If someone wants to use a bid league name, they can. and if they don't have to. They can come up with their own. Because I mean,
I mean,
how the fuck would we have gotten Fantastic Four skins if not
I
for
was
that?
literally just about to say that exact same sentence. I was like, "There's no way we would have." Looking through the treasure trove of old names, Fantastic Foreskins, guaranteed I would have put my life savings would not be on that list. But here we are. Shout out to Daedric.
That's got to be the best team name out of all the team names. It's got to be number one. But yeah, going back to the pro standings, I'll go ahead and start on the bottom and with Holy Shrek Empire. It says Shrek Republic, but I think it's Holy Shrek Empire, and unfortunately, they had probably the worst luck out of any team. Maybe I won't say all time in AGLA, but they had some horrible luck this season. Shrek had to drop out, and they just one team's got to lose, or teams got to lose so others can win, and they were just unfortunate. A team that looked really good on paper, and they were good whenever they were able to play, but losing Shrek was obviously a blow they just couldn't recover from. And I give them props for doing what they could to get games played even up until the very end.
They played all of their games in like a 3 hour, 4 hour period.
Yeah,
I think.
they played 8 games yesterday.
Yeah, I would die because probably most of those games are over 30, 40 minutes long.
Right, and I give them props for showing up and getting those plays played because I know Spank probably wasn't feeling it very much. Neither was Dylan. So, but they got them all played, and with playoffs this year, they'll still be able to compete because because of the double elim, they'll start off in the bottom side, so there'll still be a chance. But it was just a bad luck season. Um, Going up to fifth, we have underrated, which is Cosmos. Um, this season, Cosmos he's been helping me and some other players help out a legacy team, so I know he's been having a lot of fun with that. And Cosmos is a player who cares about player development and cares about community growth. I mean, he likes to win and stuff too, but I think he enjoys those two things equally. So he wanted to get players that he preferred to practice and whatnot, and he played a ton of games at the beginning of pro season, like within the first 2 weeks, whereas a lot of teams kind of dragged that out. My team, the worst, and played later in the season. So he kind of played at the beginning of the season when everybody had already scrimmed, and that was probably tougher. So his record ended up being 4-11 as well. But I think they won head to head against Shrek, which put them in fifth place. But they're tough when they're tough, but they just seem like sometimes they fall apart. But whenever at the beginning of the game, they're a pretty fucking annoying team to play against.
Yeah, they were by far the most annoying team to play against because they do nothing but double team me, which is infuriating because since I can tank pretty well 1v1 and then having to worry about like Pop Tart or Katie just sitting there waiting for me to kill the person on the front and they get the follow-up kill on me because I can't tank two people at once. It's by far the most annoying team I've had to deal with.
Yeah, Pop Tart, he's got the post tech down, man. He finds a spot and he does not fucking move. Uh, Snipe always says we just got to play more slow than them. It seems kind of hard to believe to do, but unfortunately that's classic meta. Just stand there, wait, let them play your game instead of the other way around. So again, they'll be in playoffs as well on the bottom, so they'll have a chance to come out of the bottom bracket. Ending up in fourth place was Like Clockwork, which is Lux's team. Lux, Gingy, Demon, and Above Average. They ended up 8-7, and people were reluctant about Demon going first round pick. I don't think they're very reluctant now. He's more than proven he belonged in the first round. He's probably the best stay alive tank in the league, I would say, if not the best, top 2 or 3. Nobody holds the line better than him. He picked up this game very fast. Lux knew what he was doing, and they have a pretty annoying team. Above Average is also someone that picked up the game pretty quick. So fourth place is it's about where I thought they would be.
I mean, I remember, if I remember right, some of the people had them like dead last. and their predictions at like before the beginning of the season. So I mean, they definitely did better than probably what some people expected. As you also said, Demons picked up the game really well. I think he has the highest KD in the entire league at the moment. Let me look. Yeah, Demon is almost 100 plus more than the closest person, who is Cosmos, is number 2, who has 221, and Demon has 312. So I mean, it's
Wow.
like a crazy, yeah, it's a huge difference. He is not quite in the same top 5 grading. He's a B plus, but he's still out in the like upper echelon of like players. He's definitely one of the better tanks in the game now. After only playing, one season in Infinite and already being this good, kind of like amazes me if like he'll get even better, like maybe like a Cosmos type situation, where he'll just like the next season he'll get better, and then the season after that he'll get better until he's the best player.
God damn, him getting better, that's terrifying. That's nightmare material right there. Uh, his spread overall is going to be a little inflated because he's subbing, so he does have the most games played in pro with 24. So, but if you go to spread per minute, I mean, when you're in between fucking Cosmos and Ace, that's a damn good filling of a sandwich right there. That's good company. I like the per minute stats because of the varying games played. I mean, it's still nice to, but man, even with 24 games played, having all that spread, that's crazy. But um, I think obviously he's the lead tank. Gingy's been running. Lux has just been kind of the hybrid, and above average is their role player. He just gives them whatever kills, holds the line when he can, or whatnot. But definitely a good team. In third place was Chemical Imbalance. They ended up 9-6. That's Chemical, Mav, Demon, RIP Novice, and Death Baller on that team. And this team is so good, I accused Mav of using a VPN. That's how mad I was.
I I wa-
I know you had to laugh.
I watched the stream that Hawk had after, and I started dying laughing because all of you just kept calling me a VPN cheater when I don't even have a VPN running.
Yeah, Snipe said that shit, and I started falling in that trap. I was telling Chemical the next day. It was just, oh, cope. I be coping.
Hey man,
Everybody
it
be
happens.
coping.
We
Yeah.
all do it.
But yeah, y'all smacked us up for sure. I think it's interesting how your team changed a lot whenever Demon played for Novice. Because like Novice is very good. Don't get me wrong, but it changes the look of your team because Novice was going to be running. I would assume had he kept playing. Did he run in the first 2 games
I
that
think
he
it was a
played?
mix up. Yeah, it was a mix up between Novice Demon, not Novice Demon, Novice Death, and me, but it was mostly Novice running. Then after Novice we'll say left, we let Death run, and that ultimately became a better situation for us. We started winning a lot more.
Yeah, I think that really changed kind of the dynamic of your team and made it more tanky. Because then Death was holding it, and then y'all have your 3 best tanks all tanking at once. Yeah, and it's pretty hard to deal with all of you because Chemicals, you're the most aggressive tank on your team. I feel like, and I wouldn't really call you aggressive. You're just like deadly. I mean, you're gonna close gaps and get kills pretty efficiently. And then Chemicals more passive than you, and then Demon's the most passive. So it's like a fucking stoplight. Red, yellow, and green. And it's pretty tough to deal with. Death has been doing good running the ball. He's really done good. He's gonna lose it and shit, but I feel like he's right there in the middle. He's not really too aggressive, but he doesn't pussyfoot either. He has the right amount of aggression, I think, to push it up. And I mean, you don't need to be very aggressive when all of you up there killing. So, um, the only team that the only team we didn't win the series against this season was y'all's team. So
Is it really only us?
yeah, we got 2 games at least on all the other teams, but not you. Y'all beat us 2 games.
I didn't
I
realize we were the only team to beat you two
I
games.
I I, I just couldn't do shit. I mean, I normally can't do shit. I mean, a legacy sub has a higher grade than I did, Rebs, but I just those are 2 of the 3 games that I feel like I was fucking useless. It was games 2 and 3 against your team, and then game 1 against Hells. I was like fucking a ghost.
I
But
mean, but what do you do in that? What do you do in that situation? Really, like looking at this team on paper. Like I obviously pay attention to the pro stats, but like the combination of Chemical and Mav, right? It's the amount of awareness between the two of them, the way they space, the way they know every single distance from their hammer to their sword to the spacing of the ball to the rotation to where they need to be on the court, their awareness of where everybody, like, it's like playing against three chess players at the same time, but they're already 19 moves ahead. So I think I honestly am surprised that this team doesn't have an even higher record. But I mean that's just a disgusting combo. I don't think most people fare well against that combination.
Really, the only
We
thing.
really all have the Tism.
Yeah.
The Tism is actually that's a good team name. The Tism is strong.
The Tism is real on that team. I know playing with Cam last season taught me that Tism is very real.
Yeah, that's a better team name for y'all. Rhythm with the Tism.
That's a good one. I need to start
Definitely
writing these down.
true. Bid league team names. But really, Rain, to answer your question, I'm sorry, fucking Gambit. Really, to answer your question, what you do with that, you just fucking, well, my team, you just stick your three best players on it and hope that that'll be good enough. And then if all else fails, be boring as fuck and stand there. That's really all you can do in this game type to outplay people. But you know how that goes, man. The longer a game like that drags on, and you just kind of you start wanting to get it over with more and more, and you get a little bit more aggressive and a little bit more, and then you're a fucking runaway train and you're an egg 60. No, that's just me. But yeah, that's definitely a tough look. But it's definitely gonna be a hell of a playoffs. That's for sure. In second place, we have 3 Days Ace, which is Hell's Angel, Ace Be Silent, BCN, and Skullin. And they ended up 10-5, and I mean they have Ace. All right, this guy gets number one on every fucking thing, and for good reason. It's not glazing. It's not favoritism or nothing like that. It's not delusional either. It's warranted. I don't think anyone is a fool for picking Ace first overall. I think that's something everyone kind of dreams about a little bit, being able to pick first overall. And their team comp was a little confusing at first when you look at it because Hells is a runner in a way, Skullin can kind of run in a way, and BCN's a role player, and Ace can do anything. But they definitely have some different looks between Hells running or Ace running. So yeah, this team definitely gets it done.
Ace is the number I mean always, but Ace is just like the number one graded player in Pro League right at this moment. I think he's if we're gonna count Novice, he's technically one. Novice only played 3 games, so his grade isn't technically accurate. I mean, Ace has the biggest bag in the entire league. You could fit like 5 people in there and you'd still carry.
The fact that Novice played 3 games and Ace played 16 and he has a higher grade is impressive in itself.
Yeah, it's just crazy.
I think one thing that everyone is kind of wondering is how do comms work on that team, but it doesn't seem to be much of a problem. They've been playing great.
I think they
BCN,
play in silence.
BCN, he's been a good role player. Like he's picked it up, and since I don't know how well he connects being in Canada, but it may play into why he plays as passive as he does. But he's really good at it. He's really good at holding the line until his team comes back, and I do like how they have 3 players on their team that are comfortable running the ball. I think that makes them quite fluid, but we all know Ace just wants to run, man, but nobody wants to let Ace run because he's Ace. You want him up there in the middle tanking, but let the guy run sometimes, man. Let that man free.
Has he ever had a season where he's just like fully run? Because to my knowledge, he's never done that.
Whenever they joined the AGLA and Reach, it was him, Nets Pride, Kid Tonga, and Utah Jazz Freak. And Tonga always ran, but I do know in matchmaking back in the Reach days, I do know he ran then. But I mean, as matchmaking, really, I can fucking run in matchmaking. But that's what he liked to do. He was runner then. Whenever we played with me, him, Nets, and some other less than respectable characters in Reach.
Dirty, filthy stat pattern.
Yeah, just put it like that.
Filthy animal.
But yeah, this team's fucking annoying. That's the team I went most negative in a game, which I guess that doesn't mean a whole lot, but Um, yeah, I'm glad Pro League started getting some fucking games played because boy, that was a tumbleweed ass first 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think there was maybe a combined like 7 games played in the first 3 or 4 weeks, and then everyone started playing after that. I can actually check. There were no games played at all in week 3 or week 4. So yeah, so there was like a 3 week period where not one pro game was played. So it was just like a fucking tumbleweed, like you just said, it just going right by, slow, like everyone was dead. Not fun at all.
An AGLA strike, the players demanded more compensation. More games, really, shit. Shout out to Legacy League for backpacking us for the first half of the season, and then being
Yes,
fucking
sir.
and then being gleeful in the last 2 weeks of the season because I got to actually watch fucking pro games. Yeah, well, moving on, and I hate to be the team in first place, but Legends Never Die, which is me, Snipe, Sab, and Marv. Uh, Definitely a bit controversial with the whole seeding thing because I didn't know it was. I thought it was still total goals. I didn't really know about the death thing, but shout out to Death, love you. Um, Either way, um, we said this last podcast, Mav, and it's just as true now. Why the fuck did I get picked so early? I guess it's working out somewhat, but I fully believe it's because of the rest of my team. I kind of see Marv as the first pick and me as the third round pick in a way because, um, yeah, he's been carrying. You got Sab as the main tank. You got Snipe doing his own thing, support tank, flank, whatever, and Marv just punches everything, and I'm there to die. So it's kind of been working, but yeah, I like this team not just because of the record, but they're all pretty chill, man. They know I'm pretty hard on myself, and they give me attaboys when they see me do one thing. So cool team.
I was gonna say, I mean, you're the number one seed, so obviously something isn't broken. It's working out some way.
Yeah, I think Marv has to be a big reason why we're winning. It won't show grade wise because you know how grading is, but his grade was like a D, but yet he made pretty high of a rank on top 10 in pro. So it just shows that other people think the same thing. He's very valuable. It's very annoying to get the ball away from whenever he has it, and I don't know how many passing goals he would have, but I feel like he'd have 10 or more at least if that was tracked properly or whatnot. So I just think as long one thing I've noticed about us, if me and Snipe both play badly, we have a high chance of losing. It's only one of us can afford to play like really badly, and I'm usually that one. So if Snipe's not having the best game and I can play well, I think I can kind of even it up. But if we're both playing really badly or not connecting well, that's rough. That's just harder to win, obviously. But I've just been telling them I want to be a net positive, and as long as I'm a net positive, I think we'll be fine and be able to keep it competitive.
Just send you doing flanks the whole time, and you'll just win. Just sit there being annoying, pain in the ass like you always are.
True. I call it the fake flank. I go around, but I don't do anything. I just stand there until they run away,
Give
and then I
them,
move up.
just got to give them the old legacy treatment. Just hold forward because they're gonna expect you to dance for 35 minutes. So just hold forward.
Yeah, I'm bad at that, man. I'll run forward and just fucking feed. But it is good to break that tech out every once in a while if you're passive for a while, and then you just come right down the court and don't stop and just rush at them. It's just scary, man. You don't know how to deal with that unless you're Ace. Ace knows how to deal with that.
Did Snipes ever give you like a reasoning for why he drafted you so high?
I did not know. I didn't get any message at all about. I had no idea he was even interested in me. I do know we played like a couple of late league games, and there was this one game in particular where I played pretty well, and I think he might have been scouting me then. I'm not sure, but according to him, he just said that he wanted to get the role player that he wanted because he figured he was going to be able to get either Marv or Scullin on the other end of the Serpentine. So I don't know if it was just that or if maybe Hells was interested in getting me with the 2 picks in a row. But I think either way, Snipes was feeling good because he could have got Skullin or Marv out of it, but Hells took Skullin, so we took Marv, obviously. But I'm just as surprised as you. Probably more. I'm probably more surprised than everybody else was. I couldn't believe it. Like whenever Priest posted the image or whatever, the graphic, my fucking blind ass had to click on it that way I could see what it was. I couldn't see it right away. I couldn't believe it. Pretty wild. But as long as I can be as long as I can be impactful somehow, it doesn't have to be KD wise. Just a couple of plays a game, and that'll do it. But I guess we could go ahead and tie in this with the playoff predictions, and I got the bracket up right here. So the first matchup would be, but of course, best out of three would be Legends Never Die versus Like Clockwork, and we won 2 out of 3 games earlier in the season. I can't remember the scores. You probably have to fact check that. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
I can pull it up.
and a best of 3 series. I guess if you two want, you can make some predictions. But I say we win in 3 games, 2-1.
So I do have the stats in front of me. When you guys played in the regular season, you lost the first game 5-3 in a 27-minute game, and then you won the second and third game 5-3 and 5-4. The second game was in a little bit under 10 minutes, and the third game was in a little under 15 minutes. Let me grab the stats for that one.
Yeah, so it'll probably be about the same. I think we may drop the first game and then get our shit together and then win the next 2.
Trying to find the exact stats from that game. I was looking at the schedule thing I update, so I didn't see the exact stats.
Ah.
Let me see. Here, I'll just type in Noplex's name into here and it'll pull it up for me. Oh, here we go. So the first game, the best player on your team had a C for a grade. The second game, Hawk and Snipes both had S plus games. The third game, Sab had an S plus game. And all of Lux's team sort of struggled. So it seems like when Lux struggles, that team really struggles against you. Obviously, Lux is probably their second best player or first best player. So when he struggles, they don't really have the, I guess, potential to win. I guess that makes sense in a way.
Yeah, I think it was in the second game is when I got that fucking stupid ass play where I made a kind of a bad throw to Sab on the plate, but then ran up and killed them all with 2 swings and then scored it. Probably the best play I've ever fucking had in Grifball over all the games. That was nuts.
Is there a clip of it?
I posted it in clips and content. It's probably pretty old, but yeah, it was pretty wild. So yeah, I guess that similar thing might happen. We drop 1 game. I'm not sure if it'd be game 1 or game 2, but we drop 1 game and pick up the other 2 and move on. What do you think, Mav?
I think you guys lose, but all the games probably go to 5-4. I just think that like Lux comes up with some sort of bullshit and they win in the end. That's my guess, but I can see it going both ways since of how close Pro League has been this season.
True. Gambit?
Yeah, I mean, from experience, since Lux's team is like my dad's collectively, I have 4 dads that came back with the milk. Kind of watching their comms and watching their practice, Lux is always doing cheeky stuff. He's always got, that next trick up his sleeve. He's always got that extra play, that extra oomph. But I think you guys kind of highlighted it earlier, just that, if Lux struggles or if the team chemistry goes off of what their normal is, they get wrapped up really fast. I know that when they're in a groove, I easily see this team taking it all, but it really just depends on the environment that they're in and if they can get everybody with that level headedness. I think Gingy is constantly in a flux. Either he's going crazy and going massively positive, or he's having an off day. Average has really stepped up and been really consistent kind of throughout the entire season. And then you got Demons on the back end, who's just a literal demon. So I think if they can come together, I think it's going to be a lot closer than people think. But then looking at the other side of the ball, you have the Snipes combo. There's a lot of knowledge and IQ on that team, and having Snipe, Sab, you, and Marv. I think Marv is one of the most, if not the most, slept on player in pro. I think that the rating that he gets does not do him justice. Kind of like what Marv said earlier. From playing against him in late league, watching him develop, watching how frequently he plays, watching his play style, and talking to some of the best tanks in pro currently. They've all said that Marv is a nightmare to play against. He's a nightmare to compete with, and getting that ball back is impossible. So I see this being probably one of the best series in that pro has played so far, and I'm excited to see it be in the playoffs. So I'm really excited to watch that matchup. But I would say overall, I got to give it to I'll give it to Snipe and the boys.
Yeah, we just gotta hope Sab can use his charm, cash charm on Lux, give us a little buff. All right, so the other game in the top bracket would be the 2 versus the 3, and that's Hell's team versus Chemical's team. So Hell's Ace, BCN, and Skolin versus Chemical, Demon, Mav, and Death. And boy, that's fucking tough. That is tough to predict. I honestly don't even really know. I'll say Chemical Imbalance takes it in 3 games. I don't know if I'll be right, but that's just what my gut's telling me. I don't know. I definitely have a problem playing against your team. I don't like playing against either of these teams, Hell's or Chemical's team. So that's why it's tough to pick. But I say in some close games, maybe one game not so close, I say Chemical Imbalance takes it.
I have the stats for this one. So we won the first game 5-1 in a little under 15 minutes. And then the next game, we actually got 5-0'd. We sort of just like fell apart in the second game. Then the third game we won. So we won the season series, but the last game was 5-4, which I think this series is going to go similar, where it's going to be like 2 quick, like 5-1s or 5-0s, and the last game will just be like super close. I'm not sure if I should be the one picking, like saying if my team wins or not. I don't want to jinx it. I feel like that might be bad juju, but I think it's going to be close. I'm not sure who wins.
Yeah, definitely. It's definitely a tough call. That's funny that you say that series result, because that's exactly, pretty much to the T, how our series went. We won the first game. We got 5-0'd in like 9 minutes in the second game, and then won the third game. I don't remember the actual scores, but I think they 5-0'd more teams than anyone this season in pro. I don't know if that's a real stat. You'd have to check me on that, but I feel like they've got more 5-0 wins against any team this season in pro. So
I think what happens from just like my perspective is that like you beat them convincingly the first game, and then like you sort of just let your guard down the second game, and that's what I feel like happened the second game for us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I can actually check real quick about the 5-0 thing for Hells. I think they do have the most. Let's see. That's 1. That's 2. 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so they do have the most 5-0 wins. They have 5.
Wow.
And I think all of them came in the second game of the series, which is kind of an interesting stat.
Yeah, that's a third of the games then, because that's 15 games total, huh? So 5 out of 15? That's nuts.
Yeah, I think they're also the only team to 5-0 team. Wait, no, Shrek's team. Shrek and Hell's team are the only teams to 5-0 team this entire season. Shrek did it against Snipes, which is kind of funny. But Hell's has done it 5 times, which is kind of crazy if you think about it, because this is Pro League. Games aren't supposed to be that quick and convincing.
Stats brought to you by Mavcast. Gambit, got some thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, in my opinion, I would say that the biggest factor is going to be the calm. I if I have to give my personal opinion, I think that it's most definitely going to be a 2-1 series. I think that both teams are going to take home a win, at least. But I would give the entire series to Chemically Imbalanced. Watching Kim play closely for 2 seasons, also playing with Mav for 2 seasons, even though Mav got cursed and got put on 2 bad teams. Shout out to Pop Tart, love him though. I think having that chemistry and the duality that they have on the court, I think that the way they've pivoted too after even after losing Navis and the way they've kind of rotated back and had a new balance and a new simulation of the way they take care of the ball, who runs, the way they diversify the court. I'm going to give that series the Chemically Imbalanced. I think they're going to take it home. I think that's a nasty trio to have on the court. I think Marv is. Oh wait, Marv's not on that team. Sorry, but I think that altogether, I would give that to Kim.
All right. Well, that's really all the kind of the predictions we could do for that one because the other games depend on the
Who
outcome of
loses?
right the winners brackets games, and that's all. But on the bottom will be the fifth seed underrated, which is Cosmos, and then Holy Shrek Empire, which is Dylan, I believe now. So definitely interesting format having all teams going to playoffs. Um, I didn't even know until recently that I could split the seeds on challenge and have people start in the bottom bracket. Um, I think the legacy bracket definitely looks a little bit cleaner than this, but any double elim bracket with 8 teams is always going to look better because that's the perfect amount. So, all right, I guess we can move on to Gambit's portion of the show, which will be legacy standings analysis. And I just want to say I'm really fucking hyped that we got a legacy league. I know Mav was very pumped for it too during signups. He's an outreach god, and he's I want my fucking 70. I remember that
I want
shit.
my 70 signups.
I'm always a big proponent for a split league. Pro becomes more competitive and it might be boring, whatever, because it is. But that's not the focus. The focus is the lower league, the legacy league. That's where the fun happens, the good rivalries, the matchups, the streams. You know the slag peanut butter shit fucking pro's gonna do. You know all that, but you don't know what new players are gonna do. You don't know first time captains and stuff like that, and I think that's exciting. So we're gonna go ahead and start on the bottom of the standings and discuss that and the most loved player probably in Legacy or maybe even the community overall. Encott with the Junkyard Underdogs, which is Encott, Rebs, Salty Peter Bread, and Scrappy Does, Mr. Eric. And this guy Encott, love him to death. He's all about community building. He brought Pete and Eric into the fold and wanted him to play. He was very worried that he wouldn't get them on his team after drafting Rebs because he really wanted the team that he wanted. And I know he's been having fun. Doesn't really matter with the record, but they've played pretty well. They've got some wins in there, and I know he's all about sportsmanship and building stuff. Rebs has been a really good first round player. Um, I think people were reluctant about whether he should be first round or that early, but he's a very good all around player. He can kind of give a team whatever's needed. And then Pete and Scrappy have definitely improved a bit over the season. I know Pete is pretty good at the multi-kill streaks, and Scrappy, he's very good at being a wall tank from the games I've seen. He can hold that wall forever while his team pushes up. So, Encott teaching him them Halo 3 strats.
I mean, yeah, for sure. Well, it looks like, unless the standings I see that are wrong, it looks like Griff Profits are actually on the bottom. So, under the Junkyard Dogs are actually in seventh seed, I
Yes,
believe.
you're right.
But yeah, but to keep it on the Junkyard Dogs, I mean, the biggest thing that I've seen out of this team, like Encott. So I played last season with Encott. It was a tough season. I'll admit that. I'll be the first one to admit that. We kind of tapped out way early in that season, but um, the way that he's able to encourage people and the way that he's able to develop newer players and get behind them, and if he's not able to develop a skill the way he brings in people that can help develop their skill, I think is a huge plus. So when you look at his drafting technique for this season, of course you're going to get one of the highest rated, if not some of the pro teams still use him as a sub, and think that he's the number one player in the legacy pool, which is Revs. Grabbing him first and then going with two newer players that he can develop, whether they're friends or not. If there's a captain that's going to be able to do it, it's him, because he definitely invests the time. He's online all the time. He's definitely one of the grinders of legacy that is down to scrim, is down to play as much as humanly possible. So um, when you look at the breakdown of that team, if they can get Rebs to anchor just a little bit more, I know he's kind of given Rebs free reign to do whatever, and that's who Rebs is. But I think if that team starts to lock in a little bit more and tighten up that formation, having a player like Salty Peterbread, who's he's gone all the way up. He's kind of at the beginning of the season, he was your basic hold forward newbie, but now with the extra tech that he's developed over the season and the extra, dancing that he's incorporated in the sidestepping, and he's definitely looking like a solid tank. So the three of them and NCOT in general, I don't think NCOT gets enough credit for the way he's developed in Legacy this season, and the amount of ball punches that he can get off, the amount of running, and how well he holds on to the ball now, I think is highly slept on. So I think the biggest thing that this team has to work on is obviously Eric. NCOT's the first person to always say that Scrappy needs the most help, and that he's going to drive to Scrappy's house and beat him up after every game. But I think that if Scrappy, because I've seen Scrappy lock in late league and he does just fine. So I think that this team is definitely going to be a sleeper for the bottom of the pool. And as the team going up against them, I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do. I don't think they're going to take it home, because NCOT can't tank to save his life. I'm just going to say that now. Love him to death. But yeah, I think this team is going to be one to look out for sure.
And you should have been at the 1v1 tanking challenge. You would not think NCOT can't tank. NCOT,
Nah, he's
NCOT,
bad. They true.
he won it all in the legacy bracket, and then he played against Demon, because Demon won the pro bracket, and NCOT was beating him. He was beating Demon, but I think he lost 25-19 or something like that. He definitely did good on that, and that one for sure. But yeah, he's definitely taken that team some places this season, and I think I got it confused because I was looking at just the standings instead of the bracket, and that'll be an easier way for me to tell. So yeah, they're definitely the number 7 team. So I'll just go to the number 8 team, which was Griff Profits, which was Necessary Evil, Inactive Spoon, Door Stopper, Trespass, and eventually Pac Fan, who they got in a trade. And for once, Evil picked the team that didn't really work out, even though I wouldn't say it didn't seem like it would work out on paper in the preseason, but they looked pretty strong. He kind of did what he did in the season where I think it was season 4, where he drafted Master Squirrel and KD. I thought he tried to do the same thing again with picking Spoon, because Evil can run, but I think he wanted to take a runner off the board, but it just didn't end up working with Evil, Spoon, Door, and Trespass. I know they tried to get the package in for a few games, but he didn't play his best either. So a rare miss from Evil, who usually puts together really good and competitive teams. I guess he's allowed to have an off season.
Yeah, I would say that the biggest problem that this team has is, one, they don't start Pac-Fan often enough. Pac-Fan is the best tank in Legacy. You heard it here first. But in all seriousness, I think the biggest issue that this team had was not allowing people to kind of play their role, and taking people to kind of take jabs at other teams, and like you said, maybe take a runner off the board. I don't know what the philosophy behind drafting Spoon first is, unless you're a main anchor tank yourself. But you take a player like Spoon, who's excellent at the passive, he's excellent on the side, he's excellent on the flank, he's excellent on the sword, the trades, the refrag, all of that. And then you say, well, you're going to be our main tank and you're going to anchor. That breaks the entire play style, and then you're trying to form a team and a play style around somebody who's already way out of their comfort zone. And I think a lot of the puzzle pieces they just try to jam in here on this team, and it just didn't work, unfortunately for them. Obviously, still a lot of talent on this team, especially in considering the legacy pool. I mean, you got Evil, who's been around for as many years as most of us, who has the talent, and I've seen him go super positive as well. You got Spoon, who's an excellent player, kind of like the Pop Tart understudy of Legacy, but he has a nasty sword. He's really developed his hammer this season. He goes positive consistently. He's been an anchor for that team. It's just not enough at this current standing to be able to formulate a plan around it. So when you don't know who your runner is, you don't know who your anchor tank is, you kind of lose that team identity, and that's been tough for him this season. So I think that honestly that's the biggest struggle that they had, and I think they'll continue to see that struggle in playoffs.
Yeah, and again, these teams definitely get a second shot in the lower bracket. They'll have a chance to fight out and work their way back up to the winners bracket. So the playoffs will definitely be interesting. And the number 6 seed we have Gambit's team actually, Light Clockwork, which is Rain, Epic Beast, Fuck PD, Buddha, and Coded. Yeah, Coded FPS. So I know PD's work schedule was pretty horrible, but from what I've heard, he was already kind of checking out even before his work got busy. I know he was a little on the fence of playing this season. I kind of convinced him. He saw Boston active sign up, so I think he caught a little bit of the FOMO bug and wanted to sign up. But um, you and Epic are definitely a really, really good 1-2 punch, and definitely a hell of a draft pick getting him. Securing your runner early when you're the lead tank, I mean, that's just a no-brainer, especially with your history with Tonga. Um, Buddha is a really cool guy. He played in the I think Coded too. He came from the Mythic Gaming tournament, and he was on my team for that. Buddha was. That dude's really chill. He had some good mechanics too. It seemed like he was a keyboard and mouse player. So I'm glad he got to play and get some reps in. It just sucks it didn't reflect better on the standings for y'all.
Yeah, for sure. I'm not even. I've never been the one to sugarcoat it or make up reasons as to this or that. Like, yeah, the PD situation is unfortunate. Love him to death. I've known him for 10 plus years, but it's still fuck PD. But it's one of those. It's one of those.
Getting strays.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, it's not strays. It's direct. He knows.
Jesus.
I sent it to him in a PM. But it's one of those situations where a team can look really good on paper, but once you actually put it together, especially if that paper idea doesn't match their play style or their dedication to the grind, whatever. Obviously, I think this season's been run really well in the sense of how many games you play per week, having the schedule laid out. Everybody knows what's going on, and if you don't have time to play, 2 games a week, then maybe signing up was not a great idea. So he while he checked out on us early, we had some good rookies. I really like Buddha. I think Coded is a good player. Unfortunately, Coded kind of fell into the trap of tunnel visioning on kills and getting super tilted really fast when playing, more experienced players that know how to dance, know how to stutter step, know all of these things, and becomes implosive. And when you have a chemistry on a team of people who don't want to grind, are kind of toxic, this and that, whatever. It doesn't really matter who you put on the front end. It's really hard to play 2v4. But shout out to Buddha. Buddha's been super fun to play with, super high vibes. I think he's going to do well the more he plays in the season. I think he just needs to get some more games in. Beast, I would not change my first pick for anything. I love playing with Epic. Like you said, we have really good fluency and chemistry on that team. And then Rain is just dog shit. I don't even know why he got the only reason he captain is because he knew nobody was going to pick him up at Legacy, and he was scared of getting his ego bruised. So that guy's trash. But overall, I think this team still has some gas left in the tank, and I think that they're going to surprise a lot of people come playoff time. So
Okay, all I'm gonna say there is if you hadn't a captain, you would have went first overall to activate.
I was gonna say bro would have gone to act.
You would have 100% went to activate.
I'd be the captain again, but of a less fortunate situation. So I'll take my chances. Hopefully, I go pro next season. If not, I'm excited for Legacy. But yeah, fuck my team. On to the next one.
Here's to hoping we can make it happen. Next up in fifth is the blacklist slash bestest slash hashtag activegate. It definitely has been the source of entertainment this season. So the season started off with Active being captain, and then he kind of took 3 days off and went dark and didn't tell his team about anything. So they got worried, started to want to schedule games, and eventually Puppies took over as captain. And Active and Boss just wasn't gonna work. I told his ass not to draft Boss. Don't do it, man. Don't do it again. And he did. He did it again. His team was good up until that point. He had Puppies for first overall, and then he had a Ware. He had a good team put together. But he listened to them devils, and he picked up
He's still
Boss. And Boss blew up the fucking team, and then Boss almost blew up the team again a second time. He was fucking bitching at Imtez, who we'll get to him a little bit later. But honestly, with all the shit this team has gone through this season, huge shout out to Havoc Puppies, also Aware and Imtez. Like I said, I'll talk about that more later. But huge shout out to Havoc Puppies. She's been wanting to keep it together, and she's rebuilt this team. Wanted to quit a few times, but brought her team back into it and got them wanting to play. Got some subs in there, and they ended up in fifth place, which is fucking monumental considering how they started.
Oh, for sure. I again, I'm gonna hop right on that train with you. I'm a huge Puppies fan, man. Like I obviously playing with Puppies for multiple years, mostly in matchmaking, honestly, getting fucking stat padded by her. But seeing her develop this season, her being Active's first pick was a huge steal. Like it's a huge steal because you lock down Puppies, who's a menace as a tank. She's phenomenal on the court. You let her into the spawn, and she's a single-handed nuke in the spawn. Like she's got the IQ there, and letting her really step up as a captain, I think, has been huge. And then on her offside, you have Aware, who I swear, if he did not play on an EU connection, would easily be in the conversation for A plus S plus, or not S plus, but that AS range when it comes to tanking, awareness, all of that stuff. I think he's just got an unfortunate connection. But even still, the dude plays his ass off, has a great mentality, has a great positivity to him, and can stay afloat. But them picking up Tez as the perma sub, I think, is where this team really starts to take off because he came in kind of unknown, maybe just unknown to me, but kind of unknown in general. But the amount of dedication that he's put into playing this season, and Daedric being a cool captain and letting him play for this team to get some more reps in. This is why I love Legacy so much, is because you get to see players like that develop. Whereas if it was all back to one league, that would be your sixth man on a roster that never gets to see sunlight unless it's like late league or half their team died. So seeing him transition to a full starting position on a role and actually do well and be the main communicator. I mean, you watch their streams and the way they communicate, he's calling shots like he's been around for 10, 15 years, but he's just doing his best to communicate. And I think that this team has really thrived because of that. So I'm a huge fan of this team post the nuclear explosion, the double nuclear explosion. Blacklist is dead forever, and I'm really excited to see this team in playoffs.
I think Aware has been around for 10 to 15 years. I think he's been around since Reach.
He's actually he predates me. He's played longer than I have, which is a long fucking time. So yeah, he was already around in early Reach, and I believe he played some Halo 3 in the EUGBL. So yeah, that wouldn't surprise me at all. I know whenever I first started coming around on Grifball Hub, he was already active. So he definitely predates me, which is a long fucking time.
For sure. Yeah,
Uh,
he's solid, and a huge shout out to Aware too, because a huge shout out to all the EU players that play at 2, 3 a.m. their time, have to work, whatever. Him recharging, all of the EU cats that get on consistently. Huge props to them.
Yeah, and I guess touching back down on Aklon, aka Amtez, yeah, what a fucking story that is. I mean, of course, we'll talk about DeVio later, who's also one of my favorite players in Legacy, but how can't you love this guy? 6th round draft pick like Tom Brady, although he does not like that reference, apparently.
Oof.
But he just fucking comes in and just slaps down a C on the fucking stat sheet, and you're like, huh? What the fuck is this? And not only that, but taking the mantle running too. Like, that's not easy to do, to come right in and just start fucking running the ball. Running's hard. I can't do that shit. It's tough. But again, shout out to Puppies for holding this team together. Uh, even though Boss should probably win some kind of award, maybe Mav, some kind of like serial killer. I try to take off my skate and stab somebody with it type of award. I don't know, to run, damn near run off 2 people on a team. One of them being the captain. That's kind of impressive in a weird way, I guess.
Just get
I'll
the
just mail
kamikaze,
him like a
the
Monopoly, you
kamikaze
go to
award.
jail card, and that'll be it.
All right, so it is pretty crazy that they ended up in 5th place, and they just missed out on the top bracket because Grunting Chicks is number 4, and if their record had tied, then Puppy's team would have been 4th because they won the season series. They won more games. They won 2 out of 3, so very close. Only 1 game difference, and then now, okay, I love all the teams in Legacy because I'm a big Legacy League fan, but I gotta say I have to put Grunting Chicks kind of very much at the top, if not the top, because we've been helping them out this season. They had a rough go at the beginning, and then they kind of had some issues with someone on their team, so they ended up subbing Door and Big Al as a runner because that's the player that they lost for the position, and they also started practicing and scrimming against pro players. Myself, Cosmos, Above Average, and Chemical. We've been helping them out. So this team is Memorized, Grunt Padre, uh, Rena or Rosvitha, and then of course Big Al and Door have been subbing as a runner. And Rena's never played in the season. This is Mim's, I think, 3rd season overall, maybe 4th. I know she played a
I
little.
think it's their second.
She said she played a Halo 3 season and got discovered by iRobot.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, and then of course season 1 Mystery Hero, she played for that. So this is only her 3rd season, and it definitely has a young team between those two, between Mem and Rena. But then Grunt's kind of the grizzled veteran, kind of the super glue of the team, and boy, he's been incredibly effective as a flanker this season. So basically, this team is Mem and Rena being the lead tank and support tank, respectively. Grunt's the flanker, and then Big Al Door is the pass offense, basically, or run it in if they get tanked in. So Rain has seen it too. This team has come a long way, and they clawed. They were in last place, dead last, and they ended up in 4th. Super proud of this team.
Yeah, for sure. I genuinely don't give a fuck. This is my favorite team in the entire Legacy pool. When you think of, again, like where they started. So off the bat, Mem picking Grunt Padre as first pick shows a different level of confidence that she has in knowing what she wants as a team and going for it. And I remember me as a captain. One, my biggest regret this season was thinking that Mem was the ghost, and I even said like, why don't we just give her first pick because she's not going to show up. I was entirely wrong, and I am so thankful that we did not give her the first pick because she's disgusting. Mem is the anchor tank that your anchor tank wants to be when they grow up. She's phenomenal. She's a beast on the plate. She's a beast like IQ wise, and she just doesn't die. Like coming from experience and scrimming them multiple times, like she just doesn't die. But rotating back to the Grunt Project pick, everybody thought she was crazy for picking Grunt, but Grunt showed up this season in a way that I haven't seen him show up before in other seasons. He's their route runner, he's their flanker, he's everything that they need for the dynamicism of this team. And then you got Rena on the back end, which is just somebody who not only is new to the league, but then started on controller and swapped to hybrid almost immediately and had to learn all their controls on hybrid, which I guess would be, easier in a sense because you're not used to anything yet. But boy, has that made a huge difference. And their dedication to grinding and making sure that they're taking advice from everybody, that they're learning from some of the best, like Chemical, like Cosmos, like Noplex, like Average, like everybody else that they've reached out to try to scrim before games and get better in practice. And realistically, the only person holding this team down, was who they lost at the beginning, which was Brittany. Obviously, that exited the team for whatever reason, but that was kind of a godsend because then you pick up Door, and bring Dora in, who honestly did more reps on this team than I feel like he did for his own team. But the synergy just worked even more, and it was even better on the court. It was better off the court. It was better for them. I truly believe that this team could take it all home if they can stay as consistent as they've been. I think that they're a huge tanking threat. I think that they have game plans for almost every team that they play. I think that using Rena as like a super glue to whatever the most annoying tank on the opposite team is. I've felt this from experience, and she just does not leave. They really do a good job of making teams rethink the strategy that they had going into the game, like mid game. And if you're not paying attention, or you miss that flank, or you miss where Grunt is on the court, then they're scoring it by a pass play. So, super high on this team. Love this team. I'm rooting for them personally to take everything home. And I think I've glazed them enough at this point, so I'll pass it back. But definitely a phenomenal team.
It's funny that you say that they've tanked very well and they have a plan against every team, because that is the plan. That's something I've told them. It's like there's no team that can easily overcome being tanked into the ground. That's just really hard to deal with it when you're getting pushed all the way in your back line. You got to make a throw. You got to make tough decisions constantly to be able to keep the ball. And with the going to hybrid setup, that's something I encourage Rena to do, because she tried it and didn't really like it, and then went back to controller, and then went back to hybrid to try it again, and then she stuck with it and ended up paying off big. It's just being able to have that quick 180 flick. You can't do that on a controller. A mouse is just much easier, even on low DPI settings. It's pretty easy to do. So definitely feel like a proud dad with this team, because they've come a long way, and Dor has just been huge for this team, and like you said, even bigger than for his own team. He's been very, very fucking confident with the pass plays, and has passed to Grunt a lot. And if anything, he can just go behind them and Reno while they clear out on the strong side. So this team definitely has a pretty good diversified offense, other than launching. I don't think that's something that they do, but definitely.
You don't have to worry about the launch when you're literally going absolute 10 feet deep into their spawn because you're just taking them into the wall. And that's one thing that Mem is the best at. I still think she's the best tank in Legacy. I know the Legacy rankings just came out, but I think number 3 is way too low for her. I think she's definitely is in the top one consideration. So, but yeah, you should definitely be a proud dad with this team, because holy shit, have they come a long way.
Beware of the hammer hotties. They're coming for you. All right, and number 3, we got Mungo and the Jerrys, which is Smurf, Mungo, Panther Lily, and Bubbaga. Immense poll too, but I don't know if they played. And I would have to say I think people were probably surprised with how good this team was. I suppose I was a little surprised. Yeah, I mean, Smurf is good, and Legacy's a good spot for him to captain in. I knew they were going to have the intangibles all covered and everything. I just guess I was a little unsure about their tanking power. But they've been a top 3 team all season, and they've pretty much proven that KD spread isn't everything, grade isn't everything, because they're a very fluid offense, and they're good at passing. Pretty much any of them can take the ball. I don't think Panzer really is about that life, but Smurf, Bubbaga, Mungo, they're all comfortable with the ball, and their offense has been pretty fluid, so it's really no surprise that they ended up in the top 4.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the biggest thing is that most people thought that this team was a troll, right? Smurf trolls in 99% of the games that he plays with. He's doing aerials, he's doing, crazy stuff on the sideline. He's pretending like he's lagging out while running until he turns around and flicks. Like, it's a lot of people thought this was going to be a troll team, but you look at it statistically, and like actually analyze the team, it's phenomenal. Just based on their team chemistry that they utilize, they all have the same mentality, which is we're going to do whatever, we're going to do the crazy plays, we're going to do whatever. But the biggest thing is they let Smurf play the way Smurf wants to play, and they play around it, which is hard enough to do when you're focusing. But like the way they're able to use that as both a distraction and an anchor tank and a pickoff play and an interception, like it's really done well for them, and I think that's why they crushed a lot of these teams. besides playing like a majority of their team in the first 2 weeks. I think that was super smart and maybe a bad idea on their part because they played a lot of teams before they got to develop and smoked them, which is great. But then on the back end of that, you now have 3-4 weeks of waiting time where you have no games and everybody else is playing each other and you guys are just kind of sitting stagnant. And I think that's going to be the biggest thing that they have to overcome, kind of rolling into playoff time is they got to get back on the horse. But looking at the rest of the team, Panther Lily, my boy, is has gone astronomical with the hammer. I mean, you look at the stats; he's top 3 in kills. And granted, he's subbed for 1 or 2 teams, but still, like consistently dropping, 80, 90, 100 plus games kill wise, which I think is a huge additive to this team. Mungo used to be in the top of the top S tier conversation. Obviously, with getting busy and kind of falling off the horse that way, he fell down to us here in Legacy, but definitely is not somebody that you should ever write out. Definitely has a huge hammer on him. Definitely has the IQ on him. And then you look at their runner, which is Bubba Ga, aka Ace Spence's alt account. You can't convince me otherwise. Who's kind of come into the running spot on that team and done really well. He's adapted quickly. He makes good play calls. He makes good decisions with the ball. He holds on to it. He knows when to throw it out. He can get those tricky punches against the crouch sword, against some of the best swords in Legacy, no problem. But again, I think that the stagnancy that they've had for this last whole half of the season, I think is going to start to catch up to them in playoffs. So I would not be surprised if they go early out. And I also would not be surprised if they just turn it on like it never left and they just start smashing teams again. So either way, I think that this is going to be a tricky team to watch out for in the playoffs, and you really got to try your hardest against them.
Yeah, that's really good analysis, honestly. I never really thought of it like that. Like, yeah, you're getting games knocked out in the beginning of the season, and you're catching teams when they're not ready. But then like you said, then you got a long wait, and then you're playing a different team when it's time to play them again. So, yeah, that's definitely very insightful, I would say. They're definitely a threat to go have a deep run in the playoffs. But you may be right. They may not be prepared to play the same team that they played before, and it might be much different. But one thing's for sure, they definitely have all the pieces there, and they've been a contender all season. Moving up to the number 2 spot is Reverse Sweepers, which is Recharge, Avenger, Big Al, Godly, and then Vinny Hall. I don't think anyone is surprised with them being top 3, top 2, and they pretty much have been all season. With the fact that Avenger dropped so low to Recharge, who is the number 1 player in Legacy, basically. And then Big Al was kind of a steal at the end of the second round. And unknown to nobody, really at the time, Godly has been playing very well. Not at first. He definitely struggled at first, but he's a former AGLA player, played in Miami a few seasons. I believe so. He might
He
have had a
did.
different.
He played in Halo 5.
Yeah, I remember. He might have had a different name in Halo 4, but I could have swore he played then too, but maybe not. But anyways, he he started off slow, and then over time, as the season progressed, he just got a little better every game, and then ended up being just the ultimate role player. I felt like I watched some of his games, and I was loving it, because that's kind of what I do in pro. He was doing it in Legacy. Um, Big Al's normally a set runner. Like, they've spread the goals around more than any other team this season, I believe. I think Daedric's team is kind of in there with that, but they've spread the goals around a lot. Recharging, I think, leads their team in goals, but I feel like in a half court sort of offense, Big Al just kind of holds it. He might have been throwing a lot of pass plays for goals. That might be why it's all spread around. Because Avenger has a fair amount of goals, and so does Big Al. So, um, yeah, that team is good. I knew they were going to be good as well as soon as they got drafted.
I actually spoke to Frenzy about this. I was asking him who runs on his team. He says that they mostly have Big Al run, but their team definitely gets a lot of passing goals. If you just like look at the stats,
Mm-hmm.
even though Big Al has like the most running time for that team, Frenzy still has like the third most goals, I think.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think.
he has 41.
Yeah. He's got the most on his team for sure, and I know Avenger has some, so that's what I assumed. I watched some of their games, but it seemed like Big Al was mostly in the set offense, probably dishing out dimes, running in what he could. But I mean, You know, if there's somebody standing right in front of you on plate on infinite, you're gonna throw that shit because passing is
For
pretty
sure.
busted. But
For sure.
your thoughts, Rain?
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% agree. I think the biggest thing I would say about this team is that a lot of the EU players have the excuse of like high ping and whatever, and that's not an excuse. It's just factual. It's a factual statement. But like recharging, you would never know. The dude is just disgusting. He doesn't die. He feels immortal at times, and like I think that contributes to a lot of that high goal count. Is the dude will just stand on your plate for 30 minutes and there's nothing you can do about it. Like if you don't dedicate two tanks to him or stop him on the run when he's literally pressing forward, but somehow magically always out of your range because he's aware enough to know that the spacing and the hammer range and all of that good stuff, even on such high ping and a different connection, that just shows you a different level of Grifball IQ. So I can definitely see why he'd be rated number one overall in the entire pool. But he's a great player. But the the main reason I think this team works is because of how fluid it is. I think that all of them know their roles in every given second of the game. They all know where each other are in every given second of the game, and they're constantly looking for that edge and that added momentum. They're always going for pass plays. They're always going for launches. They're always going for the clean plus tank ins. They always have somebody on the flank, but know exactly when to bring it back into mid. Their rotation when they're on their tanking line is another thing that I don't think a lot of people notice is how fluently they all flow in and out, and how if that wall tank goes down for them, instantly they all shift over. If the middle tank goes out, they close the gap. Like that's that level of awareness that, especially in Legacy, is detrimental to a lot of teams because they don't have it. And they're one of the rare teams, which I don't even know how they pulled it off. But even with the eighth pick in the draft, they still have an entire team of competent post AGLA members. So I think that team is solid. While Avenger kind of trolled his way to get lowered in the pick, and I think that was intentional. And I also, I think Avengers right where he's at when he gets graded A, and he's definitely a grinder though. And he said at the beginning of the season that he was whatever team picked him up better be ready to play because he's going to give it his all, and showcase why he should have been led into pro. I think he was right. He's definitely helped smash teams, especially towards the beginning of the season. You look at his stats; he was going plus 30, plus 40 on teams. Granted, that tapered off towards the end of the season, but I think it's because they got so good cohesively towards the end of the season that they didn't need to go for raw tankins. They were winning games in less than like 7 minutes, which is just crazy. So he's solid. Big Al, shout out to Big Al. He's definitely stepped up this season. I know he's the main runner, and I know he catches a lot of slack because he catches multiple games where he's negative 30, negative 40, even negative 50 sometimes. But he's playing his role, and I think people undervalue how important it is to just play your role. It's not you don't always have to be the positive player. If you go negative, that's fine, but I mean, shit, look at our team. My team has some of the best stats in the league, but we lost every game because we don't have a team that plays their roles. Whereas you look at their team that does not go as nearly as positive, but they win 99% of their games because everybody knows their place, they know their position. I think they've just done well. And then Godley is who I voted for steal of the draft because he, like you said, he struggled a little bit at first, but once he really got a hang of the season, started listening to Recharge a little bit more, kind of tapering in his game style and being more of a dynamic court player. I mean, shit, the last three games of the season, he kind of carried their tanking line in multiple, especially their game against Daedric. He solo carried their line like three, 4, 5 rounds out of that game one, game two. So I think this team is scary as hell. I think they're a great playing team. Do I think they're the best team in the league? No, but I think that they easily could be. So I think that playoffs is going to get scary for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a good playoffs, and I definitely stand the Godly play on the flank. He's definitely been a thorn. Definitely love to see it. And the number one team that we have with the number one team name too, it's Fantastic Foreskins. That's Kindred Jadric, Captain Sev, Devio, and Ducky. And then they also have Imtez, and then who the fuck else do they have? Their fifth round pick. Jolly
Uh,
Jihadist. That's who it was.
that's what it was.
Yeah, Jolly Jihadist. And once I saw this, once active passed on DeVio, I knew for a fucking fact that Daedric was going to pick him up. And when that happened, I knew this team was going to be a top 3 team right away. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. Daedric, his first season captain last season in the one league, and he made it to playoffs with Cosmos, who didn't use fucking thrust all season. It's insane to say that, but it happened. So he kind of learned quickly what it takes to win in the AGLA, and he's definitely been thriving in Legacy. Captain Sev as a number 2 overall pick, no surprise there. Guy's an offensive machine, and he's really good at defense. He's a really good leader of a team, a good runner with good comms. You can't really beat that. And then they get Ducky second round. Ducky's always going to be consistent and bring his lunch pail to work. Get a few plays, and then that's it. And then DeVio, one of my favorite players I've been following this season. He came out of matchmaking. He went right into late league. No crying, no bitching, no leaving, no calling people cheaters. He wanted to learn. He wanted to know what he was doing wrong so he could play better, so he can compete. So real stand-up guy too. He definitely earned the grind, and he's my pick for still of the draft. Godly too, because he's down there. But even though DeVio went early third round, I still got to say he's got to be the most impactful player drafted as early as he was. And then just love this team, man. On top of Imtez, who he's played a few games for this team, but he's basically been perma subbing for Bessus Bork or Puppies or whatever you want to call the team. So um, a huge impact. Definitely the deepest team in the league, and I'm just thrilled that Aklon Imtez. I'm just thrilled he got a chance to play for another team, and that Daedric allowed it. Love it.
Yeah, I think out of all the teams on the leaderboard that have earned their ranking, especially when it comes to the number 1 spot, that this team hit it on the nail. I'll be the first one to admit it. I was cocky at the beginning of this season, and I saw their roster, and yeah, it was good, and yeah, it's deep. But I thought it was not going to be a problem when you think retrospectively about who they have on the court. But I was wrong. We got absolutely piss slammed by this team 3 times in a row. And yeah, we got a couple good goals on them. And yeah, our last series, the most recent one that we played on Saturday was relatively close. But like this team is a monster. Like Sev, there was a lot of speculation at the beginning of the year that Sev was busy and he was on the EU, so that he was going to go, later in the draft, maybe second round. All of the and a lot of those pre-drafts or the mock drafts at the beginning are bullshit. It's just captains throwing each other off of as to who they actually want or whatever. But Sev is disgusting. I think that so often people just forget that he has multiple ships under his belt, and that even again on an EU connection, he can still outpunch anybody. He can still sword anybody. He can still tank anybody, especially when it comes to the legacy pool. So having that as your first round pick is disgusting. And then you look at the rest of the team, and you look at Ducky. Ducky's been a consistent contender for multiple years. He knows what he's doing. But I actually think that I've seen an increase in Ducky's performance this year. And again, shout out to Legacy for allowing that to bring people out. But his tanking has really developed. And he shot up the charts super quick. This team was one of the ones that had a slow start. They didn't really play a lot of games at first, and then mashed in a bunch of games on the tail end. But because they did that, and because they still scrim, even with the differences in time zones, you're seeing them really develop in like real time. And this team really doesn't even scrim that much, but their chemistry is so well sewn together and they have so much power on the court that it really doesn't matter if they scrim a lot or not because they have the awareness. Daedric was one of the players that I wrote off 2 seasons ago. I thought he would never develop. He was our 5th on Cosmos's team when I was with Cosmos, Chem, Big Al, myself, and Daedric. And he subbed for us a couple times or whatever, and I thought, he was okay, but never would. But his sword has developed exponentially this season, and the way he does these cheeky plays where he, the last game of the series that I played against him, he sorted my entire team and then scored the ball after getting 2 more punches within like 30 seconds. And that was when, that's one of those reality checks of like, holy shit, this kid actually knows what he's doing. So Daedric's good. Having Divio again, I'm gonna agree with you 100% on that. Now that I think about it, you were 100% right of steal of the draft. Him going third round is just crazy. And that's only because people didn't know his potential, but now people see it on a daily basis. And I mean, like, the dude just doesn't die. And yes, he focuses a lot on staying alive and really, really anchoring down that longest alive stat. But he doesn't die. And he is so well versed at his role now that he's become that wall anchor tank. He can flank, he can do whatever. But either way, you're going to have to send two at him to kill him, or else he's just going to stand there and dance with you for 45 minutes. And he's totally okay with that because his team is on the other half of the court absolutely demolishing you. So this team is terrifying. I highly anticipate them taking it all home. I could easily see that. So again, just a nightmare to watch out for in playoffs. But this team definitely earned their spot. So
This guy, this is his very first season. He's never played anything before this. This guy, he's a C plus for grade, but he's plus 233 on the season, and we all know that grade definitely favors aggressive players, which he's not. Um, he's in the leaderboard for a lot of stuff. He's got a good amount of goals, and he has the highest average life, and he's not a runner. That's insane. Like, he's number one for average life, and the next four fucking players after that are all runners. That's mind blowing to me. But yeah, whenever you have all of your entire team and then top 16 of grade, that's a fucking problem. So they're definitely a problem. So definitely look for them in playoffs to make a splash. And then with that, we can go ahead and jump right into the predictions and go from there. So first one that we have is Fantastic Foreskins, the team we just talked about. Kindred, Daedric, Sev, Ducky, Devio, against Grunting Chicks, which is Mim, Grunt, Rena, and also Big Al slash Door, probably Door. So I would be a heretic if I picked against my second team. So I'm gonna say Mim's team clutches it out in 3 games. They lose game 1, win game 2 and 3, and advance.
for sure. I think again, I glaze this team, and I want with every fiber of my being to say that this is going to be a clean sweep for them. But the team that they're playing against is going to give them hell. With Sev and his awareness of the court, Daedric's sword, which is something that that Grunting Chicks isn't really super well versed against killing. I think that this is just an unfortunate matchup. I wish this would have been later in or later in playoffs, but I think with this being game one, I think it's going to be a 2-1 split for sure. But I think it's going to go the way of the foreskins, unfortunately. But again, I'm cheering for the Grunting Chicks on this one.
I
Yeah,
have Daedric's team sweeping, by the way.
yeah. I can't go against my legacy farm team, man. They're definitely been with them. I think they definitely can win, but yeah, you're right. They definitely have a hill to climb. There's no doubt about that. So moving on to the other prediction, it would be Recharge's team versus Smurf's team. So reverse sweep, which is Recharge, Avenger, Big Al, Godly, against Smurf, Mungo, Panther Lily, Bubbaga. And I'm gonna I would say I'd take Recharge in this one. Their play styles are pretty similar, so it's a good matchup. But I think Recharge takes it in 2 games, 5-4, 5-4.
Yeah, I'm gonna separate that a little bit more. I think it's gonna be more distant. I think we might actually see, again, no disrespect to the boys, but I think we might actually see a 5-0 here in this series. I got for sure Recharge's team taking the series home. I don't think it's gonna be close just because of how out of practice I think the Mungo and the Jerrys are. But who knows? I hope I'm wrong, and I hope they surprise everybody and they show up ready to play. But I just think that with the way Recharge's team is kind of steamrolling right now, I think that this is going to be a free carry for them.
I actually have Smurfs team winning in 3 games. I think it goes 5-3, 5-4, and then 5-4. I think Frenzy's team probably wins the first game, but I think Smurf's team wins the last two.
All right, and moving down to the bottom of the bracket, we got the number 5 versus the number 8, which is Bestest Bork, Puppies, Aware. They've been subbing DVO, but I don't know if that's going to be allowed in playoffs, so it'll probably be Big Al and then Imtez. And that'll be against Evil's team, which is Evil, Spoon, Door, and Trespass. And I think Bestest Bork takes it in 2 games. Not sure of the scores, maybe like 5-2, 5-3. But I say they advance.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think that they just have too much firepower on the side of Puppies and the gang in order to take that. I think that Evil's team is unfortunately just too disorganized in order to do anything about that tanking power and the way that they're able to diversify the play. So I got them sweeping that no problem.
Yeah, I also have Bestest Bork. I say 5-3, 5-3, and they win.
All right, and a tough one to pick out of because it's light clockwork against junkyard underdogs, and it's very hard to root against NCOT or vote against NCOT. But I say Reigns team. I say Reigns teams take it. I'm not sure if that's going to be 2 or 3 games, but I think y'all just eventually overwhelm them and take that series.
I think that, we in our normal match league plays, this is one of the only teams that we beat 2-1, and I don't see that being any different. I know for a fact that I will be playing at a different level. I know Beast is going to be playing at a different level. It really depends on who we're going to sub, because that is really fucked us over the course of the season, is changing so many pieces in and out constantly. But I think that with raw power. And if we both combine to turn up, I think that it's going to be. I think it'll be close. I think they might take one on us, but I think it'll be 2-1 my team.
I think NCOT wins probably in 3 games. I think the fact that you guys have to sub everyone out so often is kind of going to hurt you. You won't have much chemistry, and I think you just lose 5-4, 5-4, 5-3.
That's fair.
All right, so that wraps up that section. And moving on, the next thing I have is the top 10, top 25 content for Pro Legacy. I've already submitted these, so I'm sure people have gave them a good look. And the best part about it is that these are kind of built-in all-star teams too, because top 10 voted on by the community. That's pretty much first, second team all-stars, along with alternates. I don't really push the forcing the all-star teams to play or anything, but best part of the season for me, I love doing this content, and I love getting all the lists and seeing the ranks change, someone go up, someone go down, and on both lists this season, the last voter changed number 1 and number 2 for Pro, and it was the same thing with Legacy. So with you, Rain, you were number 1 until the last voter submitted it, and it switched you in Recharge. You went down to 2, and he went up to 1, so it's very cool to see everybody move up and down, and I definitely love doing that kind of content.
Who's this last voter? Because me and them are gonna have some words.
I don't know, man. That's you're gonna have to buy the Play Grifball Battle Pass for that one.
No, I'll subscribe. How much is it? $39.99.
No, it's $49.99, and you have to give it exclusively to me.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. I'll send you some Bitcoin here shortly. But yeah, no, I
Bitcoin.
agree. I think Recharge is nasty, so he definitely deserves the number 1 spot. It's okay. My ego can't handle it, but all
Well,
forces.
if we're going based on number 1 pure Slayer, I think you win that. But Recharge he's just a do it all. He's been doing everything for his team, whatever they need. So, yeah, definitely check out that content if you want to see the All Stars. Next thing I have is Death's off-season gauntlet. I don't really know a whole lot about this, but I know it's sort of going to be in-house game type testing in a way that which he wants to do. I've seen some stuff. I've seen one with a floor that fucking tilts back and forth depending on where you walk on it. That looked pretty wacky. But the only thing he would give me as a tidbit is Action League is a Grifball mini game league similar to Late League, but for a more beer sport experience. It'll run in the off season and be a way to blow off steam from the hyper competitive classic game mode experience. So, kind of like a vacation from this fucking peanut butter slag classic game type we've been playing. So, it'll be interesting to see what he cooks up there.
Yeah, for sure. I think anything new is going to be exciting, and having more content is never a bad thing. So, I think that doing everything that you guys, because you guys are both mod or admins, and with Death constantly reworking the game type and adding more stuff. I think a shout out to the three of you especially, but also to Death, for doing whatever changes in the off season and making sure that Grifball stays fun, as hard as it can be sometimes. Is definitely going to be cool. So I think the off season changes will be cool, and I hope people sign up to check it out.
Gonna be a meme with Death changing the game mode last minute right before the season. Just gonna
Hell
have
yeah.
that be
Yeah.
like that before every game. It would just be like Death changing the game mode to something else.
Yeah, now he can do it legally for an event. What a mastermind. So that'll be pretty interesting to see what all kinds of things he can, and I'm sure the mutilator is probably going to be buried in there somewhat, so people can try that out again. I'm sure thrustles will be in there and some other crazy ass shit. But let's see if something actually comes out of this action season nonsense psyop we've been hearing about. Love to see it. The next thing I have is a 1v1 Iron Man challenge that I ran last Friday, and man, I'm mad at myself for not running this every season because it was a lot of fun. I wish you two would have been able to play in it because it was definitely a lot of fun. There were some really close games in there. Cosmos and Chemical came down to a 24-24, and Chemical ended up getting the last kill and knocked out Cosmos. And Cosmos was also 24-24 against Demon whenever he was in the upper bracket, and that ended 25-24 Demon. So it was a lot of fun for sure. I like pushing buttons and spinning wheels and stuff, doing giveaways. So it was definitely fun. I've considered doing some kind of 2v2, but I'm just not sure about that. But it was definitely fun, and I'm glad enough people signed up to where I got to split the brackets. So there was a pro bracket and a legacy bracket. That way, Cosmos couldn't bully everyone.
How many people signed up?
It was 8 people in pro, and it was 11 people in the legacy bracket. So 19.
Good God.
Yeah, not bad. I was gonna play in it, but I was just kind of a filler in case somebody dropped out. But yeah, it was definitely a pretty fun time. And 1v1 changes everything. And the final destination map was very cool. The one map, the floating one that Death made, it was it's definitely cool to play on. So I have to think about doing that again, maybe sometime. Hopefully, other people can play it then. But pretty much one of the last things I have is late league stuff and junk. I know Spoon ran a poll asking what game type people would like to see for the late league off-season stuff, and as you can probably guess, Thrusters was definitely overwhelming over Classic. We tired of playing that shit for sure. So it'll be good to see something different come back and maybe give people a little bit more dopamine while they're playing.
Everyone's got to have that hit. They just can't be playing classic and have that like 40-minute game. They have to be on the run always, thrusting or not thrusting.
Yeah, I think regardless, there's always going to be somebody that's good and it's going to break whatever game type. It doesn't matter if we have something perfect. Ace will find a way to break it in 10 minutes, or Infection, or someone. Always got to test the limits of stuff, so it'll be good to get back on the late league stuff. So, shit, man, boys, we are fucking an hour and 40 minutes into this. I think this is a record, Mav. So, good thing we are at the end.
I was gonna say because it's either this or the one we did with Death Rencott that was like maybe 2 hours, but I couldn't remember exactly which one it was.
For
I
sure.
also could be wrong with that.
All right, so we're pretty much at the portion of the podcast where it's outro and shout outs, and I'm gonna go ahead and give the floor to Rain so he can say whatever he would like to say. Any kind of final message or shout out, shit talk, fuck PD, whatever you gotta do, brother.
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, it's fuck PD. That has to be loud and clear throughout the entire season. But no, I mean, I want to give the biggest shout outs to, again, the admin team. Being an admin is a thankless job, and if anything, you catch more hell for it than anything because of it's not good enough or this isn't the way we want it or whatever. So while there's always growing pains, I appreciate every single one of the admin team that actually made the season happen because without you guys, we don't have a season. So super appreciate you guys. And then super shout out to the legacy crew. Everybody who signed up this season has done phenomenal. Whether you played your best or played your worst, whatever, either way, you're getting those reps in, and I think that's going to help build the community into the future. So, big shout out to Legacy. Big shout out to the admin team. Shout out to all the pros who came down to Legacy to help and really help craft some of these future best and brightest. So, kudos to y'all. Definitely shout out to that. But that's all I got.
Mav?
I just want to say thank you for everyone who signed up this season. We hit like a record-breaking number for Infinite. I think it was over 70. I don't have the exact number, but I think it was like 72, 73, 74. So obviously, I'm just super happy we were able to get a legacy split. I haven't had one since like my second year playing Grifball, so it's just something I've always wanted to strive for in the community. I guess the last thing is just like the awards will be coming out tonight or tomorrow. I have to do some write-up stuff for it, and then I'll be done. But just be on the lookout for that. And thank you everyone for playing. And hopefully you sign up for the award, or not sign up, but just I guess not apply for the awards, but fill out the awards.
Do the stuff, damn it. Yeah, I just want to shout out people who all signed up this season because without community members, we really don't have anything. We would just be a bunch of motherfuckers arguing with a wall. So just definitely shout out to everyone who signed up. Shout out to A Spence for keeping the bot going and building it because late league is very, very, very important. Off season, during the season, doesn't matter. The cool stuff they do with the off season, it's just late league is so huge beyond the scope that I think some people don't understand. It limits the needs for events and things because you have on demand Grifball all the time at any time. It's huge for retention. If somebody can't get in because the season's already started, they can just hop into late league, and people can get in there with them and kind of show them the ropes. We've been having people do that too. So big shout out to Mav for keeping the stats and stuff together. And stats are just huge. We don't have to have stats, but stats are really cool. People want to know. People love to see what grade they are, even though they say grade's bullshit. But they want to see the grade, see what they lead in, or see what they're last in, or whatever it may be. So definitely good to have stats. And yeah, I think that's about all I got really. So thank both of you for coming on the show. Thanks for co-hosting this with us, Mav, and
No problem.
thanks for being a guest, Rain. We definitely was an interesting show this time because we had to talk about pro and legacy, so we kind of had to split it up. It wouldn't have worked with 3 pro players, you know. We had to we had to have somebody from Legacy League that kind of knew the shit. Although I'm pretty in tune with both leagues, so I've been trying to at least.
For sure, man. Thanks for having me.
All right, so until next time, it'll probably be a bit, but I'll be doing 2 championship edition podcasts, one for pro and one for legacy. So thanks for tuning in, and until next time, we'll see you on the court. Good night.
Good to see you.